Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It. Today is a very, very, very special episode because we've got Brittney Furze here, and we're gonna go through, our entire story, which is crazy and very wholesome and full circle, and it just warms my heart. So I'm very, very pumped. I was just thinking about how special just having you in my life is. And I love being able to work with you again. So we'll get into that. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Britt. But then I also want to make note of, I want to try to think of some laughable moments that we've had, like in our past lives. And I thought of some. And
I think we have photo documentation of a few pretty good laughable moments.
yeah, so introduce yourself and then we should talk about our laughable moments before we get into like the business talk.
Okay, well, I'm Brittany. I have the great pleasure of working with Zoe at the agency. I'm one of the client success managers. Um, yeah, I don't know what all you want me to say. I'm fairly new to the agency, been in the customer service realm for a little bit now. Got four kiddos and I work from home, which is like a hot mess, but also the biggest blessing.
I have to comment on the working from home and being a mom of four because it so we'll get into it, but Brittany, one of the clients she works on is Audion, as you guys know, that's my main 9 to 5. And one of the common comments about Brittany is like, I can't believe how productive and effective she is while also bouncing two babies on her knees. And I'm like, guys, let's pay for her childcare and then see how effective she really is.
Right? Seriously, imagine what I could get done if I could like not also be a mom at the same time.
Like you have both your hands. Or
Yeah,
at least one of your
right?
hands. You're like typing with your nose, and also getting so much done.
Oh, I'm like really good at just like chicken pecking super fast on my keyboard, so that's how I get most of my stuff done.
No, it's jokes aside, it's so impressive, and you know this, but you motivate me so much, and and whenever I'm thinking about complaining about something, I'm like, no, you're not allowed to because Brittany literally does it all and runs a family with four kids. So, yeah, it's really, really impressive. And I also hope that, and I'd be interested to hear like a little bit about this from your perspective too, about just like being a mom and a successful businesswoman and wanting to like work really hard, but then also being such like a good loving mom. I'm sure it's not easy. And actually, that's kind of, well, if you want to tell the story of how we found or like how you started at the agency, if you're comfortable, of like, how it just came from a Facebook post.
Yeah. Well, so before the agency, I actually was working full time. Well, before the agency, in my past life, I worked full time as a manager of a credit union. And so I was salaried and working, sometimes 40 hours, sometimes 50 hours. Plus I was commuting about an hour each way. So I was never home. But I honestly have always been super career driven and like as much as I love my family and I want to spend time at home, I have to be working. It's just like part of my mentality is like if I'm not working, then something is wrong. So I went from working more than full time and always being away from, at the time, my two daughters. And I ended up getting pregnant. And the credit union I work for, despite being like the branch manager, they did not have maternity leave, period. None of it was paid, so I would have had to have like a portion of my check be like saved up for my entire pregnancy just so that I can have some paid time off. And Plus they didn't have like special like medical for pregnant women or anything. And so I started thinking about like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to have a baby. I can't continue to work 40 hours a week and have a baby. So I basically just decided to quit. You know, I was like, okay, if you're not going to like let me have time off, then I quit. So I quit and I moved all the way to Texas from Idaho. And the first like 7-8 months went by fine. And then it started to kind of hit us that like we couldn't afford for me to not work. As much as I had the dream of being a real stay-at-home mom, and I loved that time, just me and my son at home, was incredible. But it quickly became apparent that like that financially, that was not going to work. So I had started to like look online at work from home jobs, but everything just seemed super cringe. You know, it was like very salesy and like, ironically, I was turning down all these like customer service gigs because I was like, I don't want to do customer service from home. Like, I'm not doing that. And so I just one day was like, made a Facebook post about like, hey guys, I don't know if anybody has any ideas for me. I'm looking for something part-time from home. My internet kind of sucks. Like, I have no idea what to do. And then Zoe, who I hadn't talked to in, God, I don't know.
Like the last time I went to visit you in Idaho, like we have spoken since then, but that was like our real last time that we like spent quality time together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it had probably been like a year and a half, 2 years at that point. And you're just like, I have a job for you. I just started an agency. And I would love to hire you. And I'm like, what? You started an agency? Like, what do you even mean by that? And you didn't even like, I had zero experience in anything. All you knew about me was that like I was like hard worker and had like effective communication skills, and so you're like, she'll be good.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a dream come true. I mean, I started off at just like that 10 hours and then quickly was like, okay, give me more, because I loved it so much. And now like I already like can't even imagine doing anything different. Like, as happy as I was in the credit union industry, I'm like, holy cow, like something was definitely missing. And I feel like I have found that. With the agency, but also like with Audion being my like mostly main client now too. Yeah, super happy, and it's great. It's such a huge difference going from never seeing my kids and always being at work to getting, I mean, as crazy as that is that I'm bouncing my babies while I'm working, like I can't even describe to you what it means to me that I still get to bounce my babies. You know, and that it's not somebody else doing it for me is just like such a huge blessing.
I don't know if it's like I'm about to get my period, but I want to just like bawl my eyes out. It just makes me so happy. And to give the to give the podcast a little bit of background of like, I don't just hire anyone off the street. Like I did know that Brittney was a hard worker, and also Brittney, like, so we met in North Carolina. We were both living in North Carolina, and Brittney was my manager at GNC when we both worked at GNC, and we could talk about that too. But I had seen just like how effective of a leader and manager Brittney was, and like you are also the person who can't sit still, and you have like a very high moral compass where it's like, if you're at work, you should be working, you know, not like it's kind of like reminds me of the fast food industry where it's like, if you're leaning, you should be cleaning, you know, like you're just like always finding something to do. If we finished all of our planograms, you were like freaking scrubbing the tiles on the floor or something, or like cleaning the windows. Like, you just had such a pride in your job, or like, you know, reorganizing all the cabinets. You were just like always doing something, and you being my manager, it always motivated me to like, I want to be like Brittney. And Brittney taught me literally everything I know about supplements, and in such like a detailed way that I was able to like take that, what she taught me, and go on to manage my own stores in Chicago and everything. And I had seen like the way other GNCs operated, and you know how it is, but like I was so blessed to have Brittney as my manager because they're like very rarely like that. Like there is the you know the fine training, but Brittney really taught me that it's like every new product that comes in, like read the label. If you don't know an ingredient, research it, ask me questions. Like you learn every single thing in this store, and it's just such a empowering thing to have a leader like that because it just makes you want to do that. And not only the impact on me, but I saw how you were able to lead like the rest of the team. And so I knew that I didn't even have to tell you what you were doing, or like I just knew you would be good at it because I'm like, if I'm good at it, Brittney's gonna be better. And I like legitimately the what you've learned, because how it hasn't even been a year. How long has it been?
No. It'll be a year in August. So we're coming up on a year, but yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
been what, 10 months almost?
Brittney has learned in 10 months what I have like learned in I think 4 years. Like you are just so good at everything you do, and it makes me so proud to have like I don't even I don't know. I'm just like so grateful because there's some people who need like more guidance and everything, and I just knew you would be good at it. I just knew it. And like our biggest scare was that you were afraid your internet might not be okay. But like there's never been a problem. You've always had
Yeah.
good internet connection. So that was literally, and I remember being like, I don't even care if you're not able to get on meetings because I know that you'll be able to like do other productive things whenever you want. Just like I'd be honored to have you to work for the agency. So it makes me so happy to be like 10 months later and that it's like so fulfilling for you.
Yeah, it really is. Well, and it's honestly only been since the start of the year that I've been full time. I was still
Mm.
doing like under 20 hours up until like the start of this year, and then I finally like kicked it into gear, and I've been like full time since January.
Yeah, Brittany's gonna be scary in the space in the best
I
in
don't
the
know if
best
they would
way
ever see
possible.
that, but
No, but I don't know. It's just you learned so quickly, and then I think you're I think I learned this from you, and that we have like similar just like drives that you are so willing to invest in yourself and like further your knowledge outside of like the workday, or just like consume yourself with like mastering something, where that's how I am too. It's like I know this is my job, but I want to be really good at my job. So like outside my job, if I feel up to it, I want to like do some continuing education or read some books or like watch some YouTube videos. And that's a trait in myself that I've had to become okay with, that not everyone's like, because like you can't expect that out of someone. But when you come across someone who's like that, I just get so grateful because it excels your career and just allows you to move quicker in where you're at. So, and I try to explain that to people, but sometimes it's like, well, if I'm not working, I want to relax and I want to,
yeah,
I
and
don't
I
want to
get
be.
that. Yeah, I respect that too, that people, like, honestly, even that people can do that,
Yeah.
because, like, it's not even that I'm willing to, it's that I have to. Like, I don't know how to not know something. And so, like, if I'm not working, I'm still going to be working because, like, I have to research this, I have to find out. Or I'm working on this project and it needs to be perfect, so I'm just going to go ahead and spend some time working on this project, or whatever it is. So I actually, I really admire that some people can, like, turn it off. Because I could never.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but exactly the point is I think you should be able to turn it off and I respect it, but I just don't come across people who don't know how to turn it off, and like yeah, it's very rare, but
Yeah, I
it's a
agree.
blessing and a curse.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so before we like dive into like business stuff, a laughable moment from our past life that you can think of off the top of your head.
Oh, I instantly think of tart cherry juice.
That's what I
Um,
was gonna say.
Yeah, we probably should even find that photo.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, working at GNC and having those huge glass bottles of tart cherry juice, and I don't even know like how it happened, but like clearly I dropped one, and I happened to be wearing like khaki pants that day, which made it even worse. So that just like splattered me everywhere with tart cherry juice. And like luckily, I guess sort of luckily, we worked inside the PX, and so I just like walked out to the store and I bought myself a new pair of pants. But man, I would have preferred to have like gone home, you know, like if we if we had not been able to just go buy new pants, I might have gotten half the day off or whatever. But yeah, that was not the only time I had to go buy pants. Like I think 3 or 4 times while working at that GNC, something happened and I like had to waddle out there and get myself a new pair of pants.
I peed my pants one time at work. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, I do.
I peed my pants and I was like, well, I guess I'll just go buy a new pair out in the PX. For those of you who don't know, the PX is like the mall at a military base kind of, or it's like a, you know, it's like a store that has everything you need.
Yeah. Food, pants.
Pants just in case you...
Do you remember when I accidentally flushed my entire set of keys, including the lanyard?
In the nice bathroom.
In the nice bathroom. And I had to find people to be like, can you help me? It had the GNC key, the PX key, my car key, and this huge GNC lanyard. And everybody was like, how did you do that? Like, if I have to explain to this person, I'm going to cry. Please don't ask me.
Oh my God, I forgot. That just like unlocked a memory. How did you get it out? Did you flush it all the way down?
It flushed it all the way down. It sucked it down. And I remember like having the lanyard in my hand while I was speaking. And it like automatically flushed behind me. And apparently like it was far enough down, I don't know, that it just like soaked in my hand. And they were gone. There was no getting them back.
They're floating around a sewer to this day somewhere.
Yeah, that was pretty horrible.
That's so funny. I also, this is like funny, not funny. It's more coincidentally funny. But when I first started working at GNC, you know, and well, first of all, Brittney didn't think she was going to like me.
No.
Because I was like, it was like height of me trying to be like a cool bikini competitor. So that's like.
Well, and to be fair, like I hadn't met you yet. Mary, I don't know if we can say names, but our manager, just told me like, oh, I hired a new girl. Her name is Zoe and she's a bikini competitor. So of course I was like, ew.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I thought for sure you were gonna be just some like super hot, like mean, like
know-it-all,
friendly, know-it-all. And then you ended up like obviously you were hot and had a nice body, but you were so nice and funny. And like I think that very first day I was like, okay, I love her. Can we please be best friends? And then finding out that you lived like literally around the corner from me.
Yeah,
was like so incredible.
Because the area that you could live in to work at that GNC was pretty large. Like it was, I feel like it was like a pretty central location, and there was so many little like towns around it. And so I hadn't met anyone who lived in this little like bumfuck town. It was such a bumfuck town.
It really was.
I hadn't really met that many people. So then, yeah, when I was like describing, I'm like, I'm like, my alley connects to the Dollar General. And you're like, my street connects to the Dollar General. And I was like, no way. And we were literally a block away from each other, a block and a half. And, Yeah, and so we just like we spent so much time together and it was amazing. And Brittany like legit raised Zolly. Like your
Yeah.
family raised Zolly because Zolly would hang out at Brittany's house with the kids and Mariah while we were at work.
Hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
we
that
take her on walks with us and
yeah. Oh my gosh. And yeah, Zolly would get beat up by Brittany's dogs and she
and
learned to
me.
be tough. And
Yeah.
yeah, Brittany would Zolly would bite Brittany and Brittany would bite Zolly.
She learned pretty quick, okay? She did not bite me anymore. I'll never forget though when you saw me do that one day and you were like, "Did you just bite my dog's ear?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, she bit her like cuz yeah, she was in her like doggy biting or puppy biting with like sharp teeth. You know how like
Yeah.
puppies have sharp teeth? And yeah, I saw Brittany biting her ear. I was like, "Hmm, I guess it makes sense." So great. Okay. So that's Brittany and I's history, and yeah, we just it's cool to obviously like after we left GNC. I kind of forget this sometimes. Brittany left GNC or our GNC location before me, and I had the honor of filling in Brittany's space at as assistant manager at that store, and um, even that was like, oh my gosh, I have the biggest shoes to fill. Like, I, I still just like, I don't know. I truly think you're so good at everything you do. So yeah, it was like definitely really big shoes to fill. And I don't think I filled them as good as I like. No one's like you. So, but then yeah, Brittany moved, I moved, we both moved like several times around the country, and then reconnected with the agency. And I'm interested. I want to hear your perspective because you're like newer. You have a fresher mind in like the e-commerce space and like direct to consumer, all of this, like online business. Um, do you have now that you've been in it for 10 months, like do you have any like distinctive changes of like understanding, e-commerce compared to like before being in it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that how much goes into it, like you don't really think about it being a consumer and you're shopping online. Like you don't think about things like, even just the accessibility of the website, let alone can I equally let alone how I can find answers to my questions and like how nice is the customer service and I didn't even really interact with customer service very often. Like I would rather just like, if I had a return to make, I would just be like, well, I guess I'm out of money because like I hated dealing with customer service so much that I just like would not even bother. So yeah, I think not even just like customer service, but everything. Like I had no idea all of the different, like all the tech that goes into it and the different departments and everything. I don't know. It's like completely opened my eyes to how massive, even a small little startup, how massive the back end can be.
Yeah, it's really gratifying for me to open people up to this world because and you probably can relate to this, but before getting into e-commerce, I kind of felt pretty like stuck or maybe confused and kind of like maybe what you were saying before of like something missing or I could never be successful because I didn't go to college and I don't have, I don't know. And after getting into e-commerce and exactly what you're saying, it's like, okay, customer experience, customer support is like one part of it, but then you learn all about marketing and you learn all about operations. And then every single part of the business has like little, like, junctions of it that like it opens up your mind and you're like, even if I don't want to do customer experience or customer service, there's like retention and there's growth. And if I wanted to do operations, like there's so much opportunity out there that I had no idea. And And then it's like all remote now. It's insane how much like opportunity is out there.
Yeah, there really is. And that was the other thing with working at the credit union, like there was only so many areas you could really like get your foot into, like before it was kind of a dead end. You could only climb the ladder so far or like try different departments before you've experienced the entire world that is credit unions. And there was, even with COVID, there was no remote. Like even our customer service was still going to the office every day. So there was no opportunity to like work from home, even if I wanted to stay with the credit union. So this really is, I mean, huge. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. Okay, I want to go back to your comment of before knowing about like customer experience and customer service for like e-commerce and the sentiment of you being like, fuck that, I don't want to do customer service. Like, do you remember? I want to like unravel that a little bit because I also, before I accepted my position, my part-time customer support position at Ghost, I was like, it's like not so glamorous, but it's something to do while I'm in school. And like, I guess I'll do it part-time, So I had the same thoughts.
Yeah. So I think that honestly, for me, it came down to like, because I love GNC and I learned so much at GNC, but I think the only reason that I was successful was that I could be honest and passionate about what I was selling. And so looking at anything else, it was like, I don't want to just sign up to like sell or support another product that I don't believe in, that I don't know anything about the company. And even like with credit unions, people don't associate that with being like salesy at all. But I've worked for 3 different credit unions so far. And well, period. I don't think I'm going back. But even like knowing where you put your money and the products that they offer and like what kind of service they provide, like was something I had never thought about. And working for the credit unions was like, I don't want to just go work for another credit union because I want one that's going to be wholesome, that's going to like be aligned with my values. And so many of them aren't. And it's the same thing with like customer service. Like I didn't want to work for a company that I knew wasn't going to, or rather that I wasn't sure would align with my values. It just wasn't worth risking it for me. So, and that's part of why with the agency, I was like, well, Zoe is like one of the best human beings I know. So like, obviously this is going to be a cool gig.
Oh, yeah. And I am the same way. I have like very high moral compass, and I have a really hard time. I can't get behind something I don't believe in, and I'm not afraid to like say no or protect the peace of our employees if they're not enjoying something. Like there's always nobody has to do anything they don't want to do, and I think there's like that's powerful in a job because a lot of times jobs are like, well, it pays the bills. Nobody likes their job kind of thing. And that's one of the things about opening up your mind, or e-commerce for me, opening up my mind to so much opportunity. It's like, you don't need to just take what you can get. You can like really, there's so many brands out there who need help. And you can really like choose your own journey. And it's really, really cool. Okay, what, I'm sure this is a loaded question, but is there anything that stands out to you that you've learned about business, like improving customer service to improve business? Do you have any differing opinions now that you've been in it?
Not really so much differing, but just like an even further proof. And that's that like as far as like a business goes, your agents, your employees, like they're your customers too, like your customer service and your support should be extended to your employees. and you take care of them and you level them up, and then they'll do the work for you for your customers. I think that that's huge, and that's something that people miss all the time, or that companies, brands miss all the time, is that they forget that like taking care of your people and making sure that your people are passionate and happy and like they have this same strive and eagerness to like support the business and have it be profitable, then like the better they're going to perform. But if you don't take care of them, they're not going to take care of you.
It's so interesting, and we've seen this with the agency with lots of different clients. And I don't blame. It's something that it's a hard thing for some founders to get because customer service is a lot of times a first hire, but in a lot of times a first cheap hire where it's like offshore, and it's like I kind of feel bad too for founders who place a lot of trust in, like BPOs or, outsourcing options, because a lot of times founders don't have the customer experience background. So they talk to these agencies or the BPOs, and they make all these promises of, yeah, like our agents are experienced, they know what they're doing, this, that, and the other. And the founders don't know, because they haven't been, they just created this business. A lot of times, I mean, I don't think I've ever met a founder that came from a customer experience background. So they don't know the efficiencies or what really goes into it unless they've been, there's all these different factors to it. But then they hire, they place trust in like this first employee who might not be as qualified as they think. And then they forget about them. Not necessarily, like that's kind of drama, but we see that happen, right? Like they place a lot of trust in them, and they're so busy, so it's hard to give them that time. And then next thing you know, a year, 2 years go by, and you're looking at your customer service inbox, your email, and you're like, oh my goodness, like if I was still in this inbox, I wouldn't be responding this way. Like I can't believe, and that's where a lot of times founders find us as an agency. It's like, oh no, like I need help. And it's such an interesting like phenomenon in business.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard too from a few of the founders now, making sentiments like, well, it's not that difficult. It's not that complicated. And like they have these like higher expectations of what their agent should be able to do, but then they're not like cultivating that or doing anything to support those, whatever kind of benchmark that they're looking for. They just like expect it to be done. That's like, well, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. And I am probably so annoying at this point in Audion because we've got a huge team. I think next week we're going to have like 65 people or something, 65 agents. And I've been doing like half a year check-in. But
half a year check-in?
Yeah, like it's been 6 months. I'm going to check in on everyone. There's like a better word for it. But I've been meeting with every agent individually, and it's so time consuming, but it's so rewarding. And I feel like I'm saying these things over and over again because I'm saying it, 50 times. But same thing what you said. It's like we create as like leaders, we create these benchmarks and these metrics, and yeah, I know you say this all the time too, where it's like, this seems like it seems like it should work because like this is how many hours in the day, this is the average amount of time it takes to answer a ticket, and this is how many agents we have, so like every agent should do this, that, and the other and have this response time. And like you look at the numbers and you're like, that makes sense. Like if someone can't hit that, like they can't cut it or something. I don't know. As leaders, and you're not in the weeds, you make these, assumptions. And especially with either entry level or, teams who don't feel empowered, they're gonna they're not going to want to fight you on it, you know, or like speak up and say, I don't know, you know, like it's to them, it's their job and they have to do it. You're telling them to do something.
Yeah.
And so I've been really, really drilling into our agents of like, if something feels unrealistic to you, please tell us, because you're the one dealing with the customers. And like, as long as you're working hard and doing what's right for the customers, and if you're doing that, but you're not able to hit these metrics that we're setting for you, just tell us, because we'll like either help you get there
Adjust
or
yeah.
adjust. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this
and
is also,
and don't just tell me that this is like unrealistic, but like help me understand why it's unrealistic. Like tell me what your limitations are so that I can help you meet those, you know, or help you with eliminating some of those things, those roadblocks that are preventing you from hitting your goals.
yeah. And what was I gonna say? Oh, the other thing I've noticed with setting perhaps unrealistic goals, or the other way around where you're not setting your team up for success to hit those goals, they'll find ways to hit their goals where it might not be the way that you'd like it to be. So like, for example, when we had a client who had a really high ticket expectation goal, and the agents were, you know, just doing what they're told. And so we saw people answering to, you know, tickets that might not have even needed a response, just because like it counts as a ticket. You know, I need to close this many tickets. And so it'd be like a customer responding to an SMS that said thank you, or like it was like a marketing SMS and it says thank you, and then our agents are responding like, thank you for contacting us, you know, let us know if you need any help. Yeah, and then ticket closed. And it's like that, I respect it for being able to like hit, or like you do what you have to do to hit the metrics, but at the same time it's like that wasn't the idea. And so if you set these goals for your agents but then don't keep an eye on it and like talk to them, it might set you up for failure.
Right. Well, and not only that, but at the end of the day, they're getting like rewarded and like an acknowledgement for the fact that they did so well and they hit this goal, and like they don't even realize that the only reason they hit that goal was because like they cheated a little bit, you know, like, and so it like just creates this like pattern of not poor behavior, but you know, having to make those kinds of choices, because then if you stop and you end up you know, your score lowers, you know, because you're doing it more like by the book, where you're actually responding to the people who need to be responded to, then it's like, okay, what happened? How come you're not hitting your numbers anymore? And it's just like this vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's scary. And the other thing too is, I just want to reiterate, like, it's not the agent's fault, you know, because it's really important for me to ensure that the agents like know that from us, because it's a scary place to be where they are, you know, being like, it's an entry level position and you do what you're told kind of thing. And I love telling agents to like respectfully challenge us, you know, respectfully tell us your opinion about things. And I don't know if you've seen it with some of our clients, but you can, like, the difference in the agents, you know, from when we start working with them to, you know, a couple months later, like their ability to just speak up and like critically think too, and learn and grow.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the most rewarding aspects, is being able to watch the individual progress with each agent, like slowly starting to like ask more questions and get more involved and like have ideas, because they all already have these ideas, but they're like too afraid to say anything. And so finally when they're able to start like sharing their feedback is like one of the coolest things.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. What has been your favorite project that you've worked on recently?
I mean, just like training in general. Like I don't
Really?
even Yeah, I love all aspects of the job so far, and like I used to get super into creating the macros and like doing the
Mm-hmm.
flows and things like that, the brand voice docs, and like I loved doing all of that, but I don't know, just being able to have like my training calls and like teach people, I feel like brings me back to like everything that I was so passionate about with both GNC and working at the credit unions. That was always my favorite thing, you know, was when we hired new people and I got to train them, to show them around. And so I love it. And I love like Audien has given me a huge opportunity, and like it's so I mean, it's like the biggest compliment that I get to train all of these people. And we have more people coming soon that I get to train again. And so I'm like, ah, yay, I love it.
Um, can I ask you, we actually don't have to get into this, but I if you're not comfortable, but would like it if you were comfortable talking about the transition from being BB to being who you are now.
We
Because
can definitely talk about that.
okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about it because it is so interesting and like I never worried about you being BB, which we'll explain, because
Yeah.
I didn't know you weren't BB anymore. Like,
Uh-huh.
because you went through a transition of getting rid of BB. And
Yeah.
I thought you were an amazing boss being BB. The listeners are probably so
Yeah.
confused.
She still comes out every once in a while. But okay, should you explain BB or do you want me to?
You explain BB.
Okay, well, there's two different like versions of it. One is like Brittney bitch or or boss bitch, like whichever
Yeah.
one you want. But no, I definitely you know, it really comes down to like because I have two really good examples of managers for myself and like leaders, and then I also have two like not good managers, you know, and I've learned from all of them, right? But I think that when I was really growing into my leadership role, like at GNC, our boss at the time definitely had more of like that, like crack the whip kind of mentality. And so that's who I learned from, you know, and like I've always been a little bit of like, you know, not necessarily bitchy, but like, excuse me. Like,
I love
um,
that part of you though, because it is, I think I took some of those traits from you because you're so passionate about like what you think is right,
yeah.
and like what you believe in. And I think that's where most of it comes from. It's like you're not going to do something you don't believe in. And I don't
Right.
know.
Exactly. And I'm not going to let people get away with doing things that aren't right either, you know?
Hmm.
So as soon as see somebody who is, you know, stepping outside the lines or rather like, you know, not doing anything, and I'm ready for them to be productive, then Brady bitch would come out. And she was, I was, definitely Brittney bitch for many years. And it actually took one of my credit union jobs, my manager at the time, she taught me so much, and she's definitely like the manager that I think of when, you know, you get asked that interview question of like, who's the best boss you've ever had. You know, my boss at the credit union is who I think of every time. And she was the one who really like, she would straight up tell me like to shut up and to listen, because I would start like just getting heated, you know, and I would get so mad. And I'd come in her office and be like, do you have any idea what he's doing out there? You know, like just get fired up. And, you know, she loved my passion and the fact that like I was so insistent on like things being ran properly, you know? But she would also tell me like, okay, I'm going to ask you to keep your mouth closed for 5 seconds. And I want you to think about your next words. And so it was like getting in that practice of like, you know, and like really starting to think about like what it feels like on the other side, because we've all been there as a employee and having your manager like rip into you, and that sometimes that's deserved. But whether it's deserved or not, it always leaves you feeling kind of shitty. And it makes you like lose respect for your manager and like and I looked at how she led with still authority, but also like an abundance of kindness. And I was like, okay, that's more of who I am. Like, I don't know why I feel like I have to get so heated, why I have to get so mad, and like get bitchy with people, because I don't have to. Like, I know how to communicate to where they'll respect me and they'll know that like what I'm saying is the law, while also having it come with just like an abundance of love and kindness. And it's been far more successful for me over the years. I mean, I've never felt like ineffective, but also like you can just tell that like, I'm liked more. Nobody calls me Brittney bitch anymore, so. So I guess that's a good thing.
And it's so funny because we talked about this when we had an event, and we all spent some time in San Diego, and I guess I also want to give you some peace of mind that when I think about you being a leader, like Brittney bitch doesn't come to mind. But then when we were talking about it, I like remembered, we would like make little jokes of like, oh no, BB's out, and as like a team, we always knew like you just were needed to do your job and you'd get a little stern and stuff. And so we'd joke around about it. And I never I don't have any like memories or instances where like I can remember feeling like shit or anything, but you also really liked me, so I don't know how other people felt.
I never had to like reprimand you really, whereas like one of our other employees, I won't say their name, it was like once a week, and so I started I found my like general tone with her was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, yeah. All the time. That was like my tone. Because I was always having to get on her ass.
Yeah. But
that is good to know.
It's interesting too, because what I feel like I've learned is whether or not, like the way people are, it's like kind of hard to change, some of those habits or like just things about themselves. And you can go about it in both different ways. And sometimes like if you were to choose to come at it with like abundance and love and everything rather than like reprimanding, sometimes it'll have the same exact outcome, or I think the abundance wins, but I don't think that the more stern way necessarily is ever better. So I feel like that's where it the love part wins. Even though the stern way of communicating can be effective, like you might have the same, but yeah, and it feels better to do like love and abundance style.
For sure. Yeah. And I still think that being stern is still sometimes necessary, because it's like, okay, perhaps my approach, you didn't think it was serious. And so now I'm going to have to, let the claws out just a little bit so that you understand that, like, this is for real.
Yeah, like, Brittney bitch is still in there. Don't let her out.
And you do not want to meet her, okay?
So I hope all the agents, all of our clients are listening. Do not let Brittney bitch out. You don't want to meet her. No, but we like joke about it, but I don't know. I never saw it as a problem as for you as a leader, but I think it's really, really cool to see, like, to hear you when you told me that story, because it's really hard to learn those things, and it's like it hurts to hear that, something that you've been doing for so long and someone's like, you shouldn't do it that way. And it's that, like, I think I remember you saying, like, it stung, like, when she explained it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think it was, like, a moment of realization of, like, it never hurt my feelings or, like, offended me when everybody would call me, like, Brittney bitch. I, like, owned it. Yeah. I was like, proud of the title. And then it wasn't until like she had a big talk with me and like, I've like completely brought me down to earth of like, God, why would I ever be proud of being known as Brittney bitch? Like why would I want that? No, I want to be known as like, like we had one of our agents, message me the other day and tell me, you are always so nice to us and you're the best leader and I've learned so much from you. And it was like, that's what I want. I want for everyone to be like, thank you. You're so great. Who doesn't want to hear that? Versus having people, tell me that I'm a tyrant.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember you saying when we were talking about this is like us joking around and being like, BB, like Brittney bitch, it like became your, persona. Like it made, like us calling you that, like made you want to like continue it because it was like, it's like who you are. And like, I think that is also such an interesting perspective because we were joking around about it and like never thinking that like it would make you like want to uphold that. And so I was like, dang, this is so interesting to talk about, like, whatever, 5 years later, however long it's been. Longer? I don't know.
Longer, yeah. Dude, yeah. Madison's about to turn 12, so it's been, like, 8 years.
Can I tell the Madison story about the porta potty at the beach?
Yeah.
Is that appropriate?
Can you say that word on your podcast?
Yeah. Okay, Madison is a female, and we were at the beach, and Maddie goes into the porta potty and comes out, and she goes, "Mom, my penis hurts." And Brittney just like
2.5, mind you, like.
She's 2.5 and she's like, "Mom, my penis hurts." And Brittney's like, "Oh, Maddie, you don't have a penis." And she goes, "Oh, okay, I guess it doesn't hurt." That's my favorite story.
Yeah, kids are the best, especially in like when it comes to like public restroom, like knowing when to like keep your mouth shut.
I saw this TikTok and this girl was like, she was like, kids in the bathroom are the worst. I had my like daughter in my stall and I was changing my tampon and my little, my daughter goes, "Mom, why are you always sticking things up your butt?" And she was like, I was so embarrassed. I explained to her so that everyone in the restroom would say, "Oh, honey, this is a tampon and it's not my butt." And then, but she was like, but even though I knew it's like all women and they're laughing and it's fine, I stayed in that stall until every woman left because I was so
real. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I could tell some stories, but that would not be aligned with this podcast. We'd be laughing about it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I also wanted to give a little shout out to your small business, if you wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Oh, that's sweet. My small business that I have very little time for anymore. Yeah. So I started during COVID, like when everybody was like, "What do I do? I'm so bored." I learned how to macrame and actually became like super passionate about macrameing. So I started a little gig when I was pregnant with Thomas. To actually start like a legit business and started doing, got my Facebook page up and running and I'd go do craft shares at the craft shows, craft fairs, and sell macrame, and that's how I was like making a little money on the side. So I still do that. I do custom orders. Zoe has one of my favorite pieces, which is the little macrame shelf. Yeah, so cute. I've got one too over by my desk. Yeah, they're all over my house. But yeah, I do macrame. Naughty K's Greens and Things is the name.
We'll
I'm also
link it.
obsessed with plants, so I have them all over. That's part of why I started macrame, because I was like, I need to learn how to make plant holders.
Yeah, and they're so cute. If you guys look at her Instagram, it's like addicting to scroll through because everything's just so beautiful. So I would highly recommend checking it out. I'm not sure if Brittany has time to make everyone who listens to this some macrame, but if you
I still love it. It's the only thing because I have to stay busy, and like if I'm not doing something, then I find myself like drifting towards my computer so that I can work more. So macrame is like the only other thing that like I'll just put on my headphones and like listen to an audiobook or my podcast and sit there and macrame. So yeah, it's feed my addiction that's not work by making custom orders.
different work.
Different work.
Let me relax by doing different work. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And I also think it's so cool for you to go to the craft fairs and shows. And I love seeing that, you empower. Is it just Maddie who will sell things too? Or does Cody? Yeah.
Just Madison. Well, and Cody, it was really cool for all of us. So Madison, who's 11, turning 12, she makes bracelets, and she actually doesn't just do bracelets now. We bought her a Cricut machine, and so she's also doing like stickers and like the cups and stuff. And so she comes and she sets up with me and she sells. And she almost every event that she doesn't have school, she comes, and so she helps me, and she also does her own thing, and some days she makes more money than I do. Yeah. So that's really amazing, but also Cody, so Cody has like severe social anxiety. She always has, so she's not confident just like talking to people, period. So I hired her to run my booths for me because I would have Thomas as an infant, and so I would need to like step out and like nurse him or put him to sleep, and so there was times where I couldn't like run the booth, and so Cody Lane would run it for me, and it really like boosted her confidence like crazy. She got comfortable actually like going out and meeting people and talking to them and greeting them, and even selling, to be like, oh well, we do have it in this color, and like learning how to count back money, which sounds crazy because she's 15, but like that's a skill that's lost apparently.
Yeah.
To the point where she had the confidence to go and apply for a real job, and so now she's working as a little barista and runs her window, and I can't imagine her doing that if it weren't for her experience helping me in the booth. So yeah, it's been really cool. It was like life-changing for all of us.
Oh, I love that. I don't know if I ever told you, but I used to go to, my mom would do nature photography and do craft fairs. And
Oh, cool.
I used to go and help her. And I think, when I think back of, some of the things that are like the way I am, why I am, I think that kind of like showed me that like, well, and my mom is also just like, she supports the family, and she's like a hardworking mom who is supporting the family, which you know how it is, like a lot of times is not very common. So she would work all through the week, and then for fun she would do nature photography, and then go to print out her prints and sell them at the craft fairs. And I just like loved that whole like, even if it's not like she's not reliant on it or anything, but it's just like a way to get some extra money and
yeah,
like
still hustling while doing something that she loved. And
yeah. So I think that was really impactful for me, and you're already seeing it with the girls, so it's just really cool to see. And it's like, I'm sure you getting into that wasn't your first thought of like, oh, this will be good for the girls, but like it ends up being amazing.
Yeah. Well, and it really changed their perspective on work and also doing things that we're passionate about, because they've never really, of course, as kids, they want their mom home, and so it's hard to see like that I spent so much time off working. But then also their perspective on it switched a little bit to see like the amount of work I was willing to do when I didn't have to in order to provide. and like watching me, literally, I was 9 months pregnant and putting up pop-up tents and like being outside all day, like in order to make a couple $100,
Yeah.
and like they have both told me numerous times about how like, grateful they are and how they can
Oh.
recognize how hardworking I am now. Whereas before I was just leaving and then coming back at some point. So
Yeah.
totally different dynamic.
It's so interesting. Okay, so we are coming up on time, but I want to give the listeners a place to find you. If you want to plug any of your socials, LinkedIn, I don't know, Instagram, whatever you want, where can the listeners find you?
Well, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I think it's just Brittney Furze. And then if you want to check out my macrame, it's Naughty K's Greens and Things. Because
And
we
it's
in
naughty
Texas
like
use the thing.
KN.
Yeah, KN, yeah, like knots. But also, I am a little naughty.
So don't look up
Yeah,
Nauty.
that's different Instagram.
Don't look it up. Yeah. Oh my gosh, oh my god. This is actually very laughable. Um I went to so we're implementing Gorgeous Convert, which we probably should do a whole nother podcast about it when we get some, case studies. But
Yeah.
Tushy the bidets, I forgot to tell you this. This happened while we were on the Gorgeous Convert call. The bidets, it's called hellotushy.com. But I typed in tushy.com. And I think I've told you this before where like Hello Tushy, the bidets, they have two different text message things where it's like you can sign up for like wholesome text or you can sign up for like not so wholesome text where they talk about like poop and fart and like they're mean to you.
Okay.
And so Tushy.com asked me if I was 18 years old, and I was like, just like thinking that it was, this text message thing. I don't know. And I was also on the Gorgeous Convert. And then all of a sudden, porn all over. Like, I'm on the call with you and the gorgeous guy, and this porn pops up on my thing. And I was like, oh! That's not the right Tushy. That is not the right Tushy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I like, because I was trying, I knew that Tushy the bidet uses Gorgeous Convert. So I was like trying to look at their things.
Right.
And it was not on Tushy.com. They do not use.
No, they didn't use Gorgeous Convert. Probably not necessary.
Maybe they could make some money from it though. Maybe we should reach out to them. But oh my gosh, I was like, I hope they can't see like the reflection in my eyes or something, or like I'm wearing my glasses. You can see like a reflection in people's glasses.
Oh man, especially because he was recording that call. That would have been really good. And the best part was he starts off being like kind of awestruck by you and being like, Zoe, we've never gotten the pleasure of meeting.
And I'm like watching porn on the call.
Oh man.
That's
I
a
almost
good way.
wish that had leaked somehow,
Or what if I was like sharing my screen? That could have like definitely happened of like, oh, I know Tushy uses it.
Yeah.
Tushy.com, 18, yes. Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay, well that's a good way to wrap up the episode. Everyone, make sure you check out Brittney and follow her on all the things. We're really, really grateful to have her as part of the agency. You have transformed the agency, and we're also grateful to have you. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Send this to your friends, send it to your grandma so they can listen to us talk about accidentally watching porn. And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.